Okay, hello everyone. It's really nice to be here today and talk about grants with you. I'm a newbie to the community, so also looking forward to meeting more of you later. So I appreciate it's a bit of a mixed audience. I've tried to make this quite comprehensive if you haven't thought about grants before, to give you some background and then also share some of the opportunities that are currently available. So Ross has talked a little bit about what we already offer at Kene. So we do provide that support with grants, along with the R&D tax claim support. How they complement each other is that R&D claims are really for work that has already been done. Grants are much more for forward planning. And then also for that pre-commercial R&D, so when you do have those products, processes, services, those innovations, whatever they might be, that's then when the patent box incentive kicks in. So they all complement each other quite nicely. So as an overview, the R&D grants that we specialise in supporting our clients with, they're really for the development of new innovation, new products, processes or services. And the funding that's available is for standalone R&D, so not for business as usual activities. The applications are done, it's a competitive process, so it's really important to have a really strong application to ensure that you get access to the funding. And then the main agency that we work with in the UK is Innovate UK. It's the UK's national funding body to support businesses with their R&D. They manage a number of their own programmes as well as some programmes from other government agencies. So for example, at the moment we're seeing quite a lot from DEFRA to support agri-tech innovations. And generally the applications must be led, projects must be led by UK-based businesses. So why grants perhaps over other forms of incentives? Grants are non-dilutive funding. It's effectively free money to support you with your R&D. Grants, in terms of how they fit with other incentives, in my mind, they're really there to support that really high-risk, technically challenging innovation. Really think of them as a funding of last resort. That's where you're going to get more success for those projects. And I think in the spirit of the networking that this event's about today, grants are really great for supporting collaboration. So if you want to work with other businesses within the SBA community or public entities such as universities or academics, they're really great for that. Everyone gets paid from the grant, so great opportunity. With it being a competitive process as well, a company that gets a grant from the likes of Innovate UK or Europe, it's a really great badge of honour, great PR opportunity to have on your website that you've been through that process and had that peer review. You will also see that as part of the application, it's really a business plan. So if you have an idea, that feedback that you get from the process can be really constructive for your business development and your idea development. And then finally, the projects, the data that you generate can support your IP portfolio. And then one interesting stat that's recently come out with all the spending review activities and the budget, the government have shared that apparently for new companies, within 6 years of getting your first grant, apparently that does result in a 20% increase in turnover and job creation, so it does have that impact on your company's growth. So with respect to the UK's specific funding landscape, I've alluded to Innovate UK already, but the grants are really there to support government initiatives and government priorities. So they tend to filter down from those. So at the moment, we are really monitoring the modern industrial strategy that was published in October, is currently under development. As part of that, they've identified a number of key areas, key industries that they want to support, and this is where we are going to see future grants coming through. DSIT, our Department for Science and Technology, they sponsor Innovate UK. The last 3 years, with the most recent budget allocation, they effectively had a 50% increase in their budget. That meant there were numerous grants over the last few years. And based on the budget updates that we've seen so far this year, that looks set to continue. So I think it's a really good time to be looking at grants right now. We're seeing, although this year started off quite slowly, we're really starting to see numerous grant funding opportunities coming through right now. I've mentioned Innovate UK. I will share the slides after the event, but they publish all their competitions on their website. This just shows some of their previous strategy. We are expecting to see an update on this as a result of the spending review. But in terms of thinking about projects that you might want to consider for grants, they will often have key technology areas that they want to support. So aligning with those is a good strategy. And on the right-hand side, I've shared some of those underpinning cross-cutting areas that they want to see in any project. So as well as the impact on your company's growth, they want to know how it's going to advance your sector and the wider benefits to society with any grant-funded project. In terms of current opportunities, like I said, there's quite a lot of opportunities coming through right now. I appreciate it's quite a mixed audience, so I just highlighted two sort of more open schemes at the moment. And these are evergreen schemes as well. They're rolling, so there are multiple deadlines for these coming up. The first one is the Innovate UK Loan Scheme. So this one is ideal for more established companies. Although it's a loan, the equivalent incentive is equivalent to a grant of up to 45%. Innovate UK say that the terms for that are more favourable to the high street, typical lenders that you'd find on the high street. But as part of the application, you do need to evidence how you can repay the loan share of that. So it's more suitable for companies that are generating revenues. The second scheme that I've highlighted here is the Investor Partnership Scheme. This scheme has been going for a couple of years now. Next round closes on the 2nd of July. This is a really nice one for earlier stage companies that are looking for investment, allows them to develop their ideas. You get a grant for the R&D, and then the investor is expected to put in some aligned investment. So in terms of earlier stage companies, it allows them to build that relationship with investors and get their ideas to market. In the current round, they're supporting a number of areas. The topics of interest for today's audience might be the clean energy solutions and also sustainable low carbon materials and manufacturing. So that could be a good one to investigate. Very briefly, I wanted to touch on European grants. Post-Brexit, there has been a bit of confusion around the UK's involvement in European grants. The takeaway message from this is, yes, UK entities are completely eligible for European grants. The big programme you might have heard of is the Horizon Europe scheme. Huge pot of money running over the next few years. Lots of different deadlines, lots of topics and themes that they're supporting within that programme. The top one there that I've highlighted, I think is really quite relevant for you guys, is the CBEJU, which is the Bio-Based Europe undertaking, all about circular bioeconomy, bio-based feedstocks, materials. They run this programme once a year, 13 topics coming up this year, and it's covering things like, I made some notes to help me, so some of the things that have come up in the discussions earlier today, sort of fibre-based packaging is one of the topics, so worth having a look at that one, and bio-based polymers, amongst others. So do have a look at that one, because as UK-based organisations, we're absolutely eligible to apply for those. This is just a bit of a plug. At Kene, we are trying to keep everyone up to date with all the grants, so do follow us on LinkedIn. We have this new grant finder tool on our website where we're trying to capture all of the available grants to help people keep up to date with what is available. As I said, there's lots of changes at the moment with the upcoming spending review and new budget allocations, so this is going to get really busy, so do keep an eye on that. With respect to what funding can be used for, I'll just quickly go through these slides. As I said, they'll be shared afterwards for reference. I wanted to just emphasise that it is for standalone R&D projects. In my experience, the sweet spot is really between that proof of concept stage up to prototyping stage. That's really where the grant funding sit and what the money is really intended for. As I said, to overcome that technical challenge and risk associated with your project or innovation. Funding rates, just to make you aware as well that the grants, they partially fund projects, and how they scale the funding that is available is dependent on the technology stage. So really scaling based on risk, earlier stage ideas attract more funding, and also company size with smaller, less established organisations attracting higher levels of funding. It can also be used to support, enable you to work with publicly funded organisations as well. So one of the takeaways I want you to take from this slide is that the grants, they pay for all the partners in a project. So if you do want to work with another business, their costs get paid for from the grant. So it enables that collaboration. Just very quickly, I have no time. The process, just to make you aware that there is often a very short window between a grant becoming available and the deadline for the application. So when a new funding competition does become available, just start as soon as possible. In terms of forward planning, thinking about where your technology development is right now and when the project starts is really important to consider. And just to emphasise that the grant payments, they are made in quarterly arrears, so it's something to think about with your cash flow and money projections. So we can help you across the entire grant acquisition process. So I think the first really important stage is that due diligence around the project you have in mind, the partners you want to work with, and how that aligns with any given scheme. We're very upfront about that. It is a competitive process. We don't want anyone to waste their time and money writing an application that's unlikely to get funded. So that's really important. We can then help with actually preparing that application, getting that submitted on your behalf, making sure that you complete the application to make it as compelling as it possibly can be, considering it is a very, very competitive process. And then hopefully once your project is selected for funding, we can then also support you with that post-award work. So the project setup, getting you to that project start date, and the quarterly technical and financial reporting that you need to complete in order to get those payments in. So I'm going to end it there. If you'd like to find out more, I'm very happy to answer any questions. And like I said, do connect with us on LinkedIn and look at our website for the new competitions. It's lots of new opportunities coming up, so quite an exciting time for the grants.